Welcome, beloved, to the Spiritual Sanctuary. I'm Bertina, and this is a space where we slow down, breathe, and remember who we are beneath the noise of the world. Today's episode is devoted to Yule, the winter solstice, and the sacred pause of winter. We'll talk about what Yule is, why it has been celebrated across cultures for thousands of years, how it connects to the rhythm of nature and the divine feminine, and most importantly, how you can create simple daily rituals to honor the season in a way that feels nourishing rather than overwhelming. Now, this is not about perfection. It's not about doing winter right. It's about listening to the dark, to the quiet, and to the small light that lives within you. So, wherever you are, driving, walking, resting, or sipping something warm, let yourself arrive. Take a gentle breath in and breathe out. Now, let's talk about what Yule is. Yule is a ancient seasonal celebration that's rooted in Northern European, Germanic, Norse, and broader pagan ideas. Long before modern calendars, clocks, or even commercial holidays existed, it was celebrated. It comes from a time when people lived in close relationship with the land, with the sky, and then with all the seasons. While survival depended on paying attention to nature's rhythms rather than trying to override them. At its heart, Yule marks the winter solstice, the longest night and the shortest day of the year, usually falling about December 20th or 21st. And astronomically, this is the moment when the sun reaches its lowest point in the sky, and symbolically, it is the darkest threshold of the year. And yet, this is where the paradox of Yule lives. Because even though this is the longest night, it is also the moment when the light begins to return. Not suddenly, not dramatically, and not in a way that demands attention, but slowly, quietly, and almost imperceptibly at first. After the solstice, each day gains just a little bit more light. A minute here, a moment there. Nothing you would notice unless you were paying really close attention. And that is the lesson that Yule offers us. Change does not always announce itself. Sometimes it arrives as a whisper rather than as a proclamation. Our ancestors understood this. Winter for them was not cozy or aesthetic. It was not fairy lights and warm drinks that we shared by choice. Winter was real. It was dangerous. It meant cold that could kill, hunger that lingered, illness that spread quickly, and uncertainty about whether supplies would even last until spring. And yet, despite all of this, they gathered. They gathered around fires, they lit candles, they lit torches, and they told stories of gods and goddesses and ancestors and heroes. They sang, they shared food, and they marked the moment together. But thinking about this, why would they do this in the harshest season of the year? It's because Yule was never about pretending that darkness didn't exist. It was about meeting it together. It was about remembering that even in the most difficult season, life continues beneath the surface. The seeds are resting underground, and that the sun, though weak at this time, has not abandoned the world. That warmth and connection can still be created even when the external world feels cold and unforgiving. Yule is a celebration of the rebirth of the sun, and with it, rebirth of hope, the wisdom of rest rather than constant striving. Yule is the power of cycles, reminding us that nothing is permanent, not even this hardship. And Yule is the promise that nothing stays frozen forever, even when it feels that way. It teaches us that darkness is not the enemy of light, it is the container that allows light to be reborn. Now, the winter solstice is not just an astronomical event, it is a spiritual threshold. It is a pause point in the great tuning of the air. On this night, darkness reaches its peak, and rather than rushing past it or trying to fix it, ancient cultures leaned in. They honored the dark as sacred, fertile, and necessary. This is something modern culture often struggled with. They struggle with today. We're taught to fear darkness, to associate it with failure, to associate it with depression or loss or stagnation. We're taught to rush towards the light as quickly as possible, to stay productive, to stay upbeat and busy no matter the season. I'm guilty of doing this at times, but winter tells a different story. Winter teaches us that rest is not failure, stillness is not stagnation, and pausing is not quitting. In nature, nothing is blooming right now, and that's not a mistake. Seeds are underground, protected by the dark soil, and roots are strengthening invisibly. Trees pull their energy inward, animals hibernate and move more slowly, and the land conserves its resources. Nothing is wasted, nothing is wrong. But the winter solstice invites us to ask gentler, wiser questions, questions that don't demand immediate answers. So ask yourself this: what in your life needs rest rather than repair? What in your life needs rest rather than repair? Because sometimes we can just rest and that makes it all better. Ask yourself where you're trying to force growth when what's actually being asked of you is patience. Yeah, that one hit home a little bit. What are you trying to force to grow when you're actually supposed to be patient? And then finally, what light are you carrying quietly, even if it hasn't yet emerged into the world? What light are you carrying quietly? Hmm. This is why Yule is so deeply aligned with inner work, intuition, and the divine feminine. Energetically, the season carries womb energy, dark, protective, and really deeply creative. Ironically, it's just the seeds form in darkness, and so do our ideas, so does our creativity, our identities, and our callings. And winter is not barren, it's pregnant with possibilities. Now, we celebrate Yule because humans need markers of meaning. We need to know that on this day we're going to do this, and on this day we're going to do that. And whether you realize that's ritual or not, it is. Because without ritual, time becomes flat. Days blur together. Think about that time between Christmas and New Year's. We tend to, a lot of us are off work and things just kind of blur. When we don't work with rituals, seasons lose their distinct wisdom. We move from task to task to task without even stopping long enough to remember that we're part of something larger, something more productive, and even larger than our deadlines and our expectations. Yule reminds us that life moves in cycles, not straight lines. It's not a rush to the finish line. The darkness is not something to fear, but it's something to understand, and that hope does not arrive loudly. It begins quietly, often as no one is watching. Celebrating Yule is not escapism, it is regulation. Seasonal rituals help us regulate our nervous system. They give us permission to slow down in a world that insists we keep going and going and going. They remind our bodies that it's safe to rest, to exhale, and to stop striving for a moment. Think about it. Just rest for just one moment. Yule also reconnects us to our ancestral memory. Long before electric lights, climate control, and constant stimulation, people watched the sun, the moon, and the land. They trusted the rhythm. They knew when to work, when to rest, when to gather, and when to conserve energy. Celebrating Yule is a way of remembering that wisdom lives in us too. I had a bone reading yesterday, an ancestral healing session yesterday with Cody. And that was a lot of what the message was to me. Slow down. Do not let all the hustle and bustle around me affect me. It's okay to move forward, but it's okay to rest. I need that told to me all the time because I move constantly. And Yule isn't about doing more. It's not about adding another obligation to something that is already a full season. It's about being present with what is, without judgment, without urgency, without needing to rush towards the next phase. Now, we've talked about Yule, we've talked about winter solstice, but think about how it connects to the actual season of winter. See, winter is the season of silence and stillness and reflection and honesty. Winter does not decorate herself to be palatable. Trees are bare. The earth rests openly. Nothing is hidden. And spiritually, winter asks us to do the same. This is a season that gently but firmly invites honesty. Not harsh criticism, but clear seeing. I want you to take out your journal for a moment. If you need to pause this, you can. But I want you to ask yourself these questions that winter asks you. What are you carrying with you that no longer serves you? What beliefs, roles, or habits are you ready to release? Sometimes they're ready to be released before you're ready to release them, and that's okay. And then what parts of yourself need warmth and care and compassion right now? Yule reminds us that winter isn't something just for you to get through, it's something to move with. Yule is not a single day on the calendar, it's an energetic season, a threshold that invites us to slow our pace, soften our expectations, and tend to our inner fire. Winter teaches us something radical in a culture of constant motion. It teaches us that rest is not laziness, rest is wisdom. It is how the light returns, one quiet moment at a time. Now, one of the things I like to talk about the most is how to honor different seasons and celebrations and to bring them into your life daily to help you understand how it fits in real life. A daily Yule ritual does not need to be elaborate. In fact, simplicity is part of the magic. So think about this. Choose a consistent time, morning or evening, whichever one's works best. Morning's usually better for me. Light a candle and realize that the candle lighting represents the returning of the sun, the inner light, or hope. Even 1 minute is enough. Ground into your body, place a hand on your heart and on your belly. Take 3 slow breaths. And then repeat, I honor the darkness and the light within me. And during this winter season, you can choose one question a day for you to reflect on. It can be things like, what feels heavy today? How can you soften it? I always think about snow and snowmen and snowballs. I don't know. It's just, and fluffy snow. We haven't had fluffy snow yet where I live. Where do you need rest rather than effort? What small light did you notice today? And then maybe what are you being asked to release before the new year begins? Write a sentence or two, just no pressure. And I know on New Year's I will be writing a list and burning it into my candles in a small ritual just to release things. Now, end your ritual with a simple phrase. May I move through winter with gentleness. I trust the slow return of light. I release what I no longer need. Then blow out the candle with that intention. This is how ritual becomes sustainable, not by doing more, but by doing it with presence. So, as we close today's episode, I invite you to remember this. Don't rush the darkness away. You don't need to. You don't need to be cheery or productive during winter. You just need to rest. You're allowed to be quiet. You're allowed to be exactly where you are. Yule reminds us that light always returns, but it does so in its own time. May this season hold you. May your inner flame stay warm. And may you trust that even now, beneath the surface, something beautiful is growing. Thank you for spending this sacred time with me. Thank you for coming to the spiritual sanctuary. If you would like to get news and information sent directly to your inbox, remember to sign up at my newsletter, bertena.org. That's BERTENA.org. Scroll all the way down to the bottom and sign up. There's lots of goodies. It's a strong community. The spiritual sanctuary is there. It is in Tennessee and Nashville at Cosmic Connections. It is with us on Zoom, and it is with us always. Until next time, be gentle with yourself and honor the season you are in. Goodbye.